What are you doing? This fight is over.
Not yet.
So we all know Death Battle by now, we all know the routine. Two people fight it out and one wins. And sticking to that formula, we have Robocop on one side and the Terminator on the other. Now, I'm going to get this right out of the way and say that Robocop won, of course. Well, sort of. Was Robocop's win a legitimate one? I say no, but let's face the facts. Death Battle usually gets their battles right. Usually. However, I can already list the main problem with this fight right off the top of my head. They used the T-800 model of Terminator to justify the T-850's defeat to Robocop. And this might not seem like a big thing to anyone who hasn't seen the Terminator movies, but trust me, it is. The funny thing is, they explain the differences between a T-850 Terminator and the T-800 Terminator and still get this bunch of facts wrong. In fact, let's make a small comparison video showing just how different they are. And that, my dear viewers, is why it was so important that they stuck to the T-850. I mean, don't get me wrong, the T-800 is strong, terrifyingly strong, but the T-850 is just so much stronger. On top of that, there are also some factual flaws which really boggle my mind, like the idea that the Terminator has favorite weapons. Isn't the Terminator a logical killing machine? Besides the plasma rifle, which makes sense, no Terminator from any of the movies has shown a preference one way or another. They simply pick what's best, and when something becomes available, they discard their weapons and pick that. It's not even like this is a one-time event. This happens constantly throughout the movies. Speaking of weapons, the plasma rifle. Why include it? Well, let me answer my own question. Because if they didn't, there would be fanboys foaming at the teeth, which is ironic, but it is a legitimate thing to bring up. And for the record, I wouldn't have cared either way, because I know for a fact that the Terminator cannot store a plasma rifle in his chest. If he could, that would have made the end confrontation at the end of the Terminator very anticlimactic. I can't really say if Robocop could tank it, because I'm not a Robocop buff, so I just have to assume these lasers or whatever are equivalent to the standard plasma rifle.
Excellent.
Yeah, whatever. If we really want to get technical, these lasers, well, they can be any temperature you want. However, plasma can range from the 1 million to 2 million degrees Celsius range. And judging by how humans react when shot by these weapons, yeah, I believe that can be correct. Now, I'm not saying anything here, trust me. Those laser shots can be 3 trillion degrees for all I care, but it's merely an observation. If anyone could tell me the episode where these plasma shots are featured in, I would greatly appreciate it. Death Battle can also be commended for showing us Robocop's strength, but completely ignoring the Terminators. Going back to Terminator 3, we have to remember that the battle-damaged T-850, with only one hydrogen fuel cell, was able to hold and completely stop a large blast door. Disregarding the fact that he did this while also grappling the T-X, we have to remember that this blast door was designed to deflect a hit from a nuclear bomb. So how heavy could this thing be? Well, Crystal Peak, the area in which this super door is housed in, is based off a real-life location, the Cheyenne Mountain Nuclear Bunker, which is funny because Crystal Peak does happen to reside in the Cheyenne Mountains. And just inside this mountain base resides a nuclear-proof blast door. How much does this door weigh? 25 tons. And while we're on the subject of very heavy things, I'd like to point out that the hydraulic press Robocop and Arnold went through were very much different. Whilst Robocop barely survived a 3,000 psi press, Arnold was absolutely decimated by an 80,000 psi press, so you can't really compare them. But how did I get this number? Well, going through the novelization of the Terminator, it cites that the press he was put in was a 40-ton psi press, which, if calculated out, gives us 80,000 pounds per square inch, much higher than anything Robocop's ever endured. Also, the explosion analogy. Why would you do this? Are you seriously going to compare a gas-made explosion and a building-busting bomb explosion, which, don't get me wrong, are really impressive explosions, to a hydrogen explosion that not only took out an essentially invincible anti-Terminator, but also blew a hole in a structure meant to deflect nuclear explosions? Are you crazy? It seems a bit asinine to think even Robocop could survive that. Why are you comparing these extremely different explosions when one is clearly much more severe than the other ones? I could argue this forever. Like how the flamethrower shouldn't affect Arnie, how gunshots shouldn't have effect on, well, either of them, or how a missile really shouldn't do much to the Terminator. I could, but I won't. In reality, there is only one main difference between the two, one that ultimately turns the tide for the T-850. You see, the Terminator is powered by twin hydrogen fuel cells, and each cell can last for 120 years on a constant drain. So the Terminator has more than enough juice to go toe-to-toe with Robocop. Murphy, on the other hand, is powered by an energy cell that not only requires a daily recharge, but can also be drained over the course of a battle, taking his efficiency with it. And that's how I would see the fight working. The Terminator would simply outlast Robocop on paper, and really, I'm a bit disappointed in Death Battle for going so far into Robocop's lore, but completely glancing over or even botching up many major details on the Terminator's side. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, it's my opinion. The The facts say Robocop should have lost, but I'm not going to go on anymore. Unlike the Goku fanboys, I actually have a life. Or so you think. So, I'll see you guys later. And as usual, I'm the Self-Contained Thinker. Have a wonderful day. I even know the pun they could have used for the fights. Looks like Robo really copped out of this fight. Oh god, that was terrible. Oh man. Anyways, see you guys later.